Hey there, fourth graders. This is Mr. C, and today we are going to be doing a challenge here. We are going to be subtracting mixed numbers with regrouping. Okay? So, before we get started with that, let's do a quick refresher with what regrouping is. And we see regrouping with a standard subtraction question 21 minus 17. I know that I cannot take away 7 from 1. There is a lesser value on top. Sometimes we say there's more on the floor, go next door and borrow. So that's what regrouping is. It's borrowing. And it's an even trade. So I'm going to take away 110. Okay? And I'm going to give 10 to the neighbor, making this an 11. That was an even trade. I got rid of one group of 10, but I added 10 ones. And now I can subtract. 11 minus 7 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so that's what regrouping looks like. Now we're going to look at what regrouping looks like when we are subtracting mixed numbers. Okay? And to do that, I'm going to start with cubes and this awesome mixed number page. Okay, so here's my equation. These are going to be representing one whole. So I have 3/3, 3/3, 3/3, which make 3 wholes. Sorry, it's a little off the page there. There we go. 3/3. And my fraction is 1/3. To which I'm going to be subtracting 1 whole and 2/3. Sorry, 2/3. Okay? I know that this is 1 whole because it was 3/3. So, here's where the regrouping comes in. If you remember from the first 2 mixed number videos that I made, we start with the fractions. I want to take away 2/3 from 1/3, but I cannot do it. If these were to cancel out, I'm still left with 1 left over. I cannot do it because I have a lesser value going first. So what I need to do is borrow from the whole number. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So this fraction needed more thirds. I have a lot of thirds over here that I can borrow from. So I'm going to regroup. Instead of having 3 wholes, I'll get rid of 1. Now I have 2 wholes. And instead of having 1/3, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 thirds. So I have regrouped and I have changed the values and what this looks, or not the value, but I've changed kind of how the whole numbers and fractions are distributed. These are still equal. I still have the same amount of cubes that I started with. I haven't taken any away. But now I can subtract 2/3. Now I can pull out 2/3. So if I take out 2/3, here are my 2/3 showing you that it's even, and I'm going to take that out. What's left over? 2/3. My denominator does not change, so 4/3 minus 2/3. I still have 3 in the denominator, and now I have 2/3. Now I go to my whole number. It used to be 3, but now it's 2 because I regrouped, and now I'm going to take out 1 whole. That's an even takeout. Pull it out, and I'm left with 1 whole. So 3 and 1/3 minus 1 and 2/3 is 1 and 2/3. Let's do another one to illustrate regrouping. Okay. I'm going to start with 2 wholes, and this time my denominator is going to be 4. Okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fourths and 4 fourths, and together it gives me 2 wholes. I'm going to move some of these cubes out of the way. And my fraction is going to be 2/4. And I'm going to be subtracting. There's another 4 fourths, which I know is 1 whole. And I'm going to be subtracting 3 fourths. Okay? So my equation is 2 and 2 fourths minus 1 and 3 fourths. I start with the fraction. I want to take away 3/4. I do not have 3/4 here. I need to regroup and I need to borrow from the whole number. I'm going to slide 4/4 over, and that changes my whole number. Now I just have one whole number here. I'm going to cross it out, and now I have one whole. Instead of having 2/4, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/4. Now I can subtract. Now I can start with my fractions. So I want to take out 3/4, lay it on top, see how many cancel out. Got to disconnect them here. So that's an even trade. And I'm left with 3/4. And I know 4 is the denominator because the denominator does not change when we subtract. Now I go on to the whole numbers. I take out 1 and see what it cancels out with. 1 minus 1 is 0. So my original equation said 2 and 2/4. I can rewrite it. 2 and 2/4 minus 1 and 3/4. And what was just left over? It was just 3/4. I don't even have a whole number. They canceled each other out. It was just 3/4. Last one. We are going to be starting with 5ths in my denominator. In the denominator, I shouldn't say it's mine. So I have 5/5, and that gives me one whole. And my fraction, oh, I'll write it down here, is 2/5. So 1 and 2/5 minus 4/5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that I have 0 in the whole number. Okay, I can put a 0 here if I want to, but it's not necessary. Sometimes we just subtract a fraction. I'm still going to start with fractions. So I have 4/5, and I want to take, I'm starting with 2/5, and I want to subtract 4/5. I do not have enough right now. This is not a fair trade. So I need to regroup. And I regroup from the whole number. So I'm going to slide it over. I no longer have 1 in the whole number. I have 0 in the whole number. I no longer have 2/5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/5. Now I can subtract. Okay? Need my equal sign in my fraction bar. I know my denominator is going to be 5. I have 5, 5. Denominator stays the same. 7 minus 4, I know is 3, but let's prove it using our canceling out strategy. So it looks like I have 1 extra here. I'll move it over. This is an even cancel out. I'm going to take those away. And I'm left with 3/5. I can look at my whole number. You know, right now it's just a fraction. It's not a mixed number. And here's why. I have 0, and I'm going to take away 0, and I'm left with 0. So 1 and 2/5 minus 4/5 is equal to 3/5. Okay. This is challenging. Draw pictures. They help so much, okay, in illustrating, borrowing, and canceling out, and regrouping. Okay. We'll keep practicing this. I'm going to be making more videos. Your teachers are going to be checking in with you to see how this is going. You're doing awesome. Keep up the great work, 4th grade.